We're gonna make some cornbread. All right, let's make this stuff. So for cornbread, I am gonna need 2 cups of yellow cornmeal and then 3/4 of a cup of cake flour. And I use cake flour because it's gonna be a lot more crumbly. I like my cornbread really sweet and really crumbly. So 3/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons. This is baking, so you do wanna be relatively accurate. Okay, sugar. Oh, we don't need this much, but we do need 3/4 of a cup. You're like, Duff, that's a lot of sugar, that's really sweet. But you gotta remember, our chili is gonna be really savory. It's got a ton of flavor. It's got all those chilies in there. You're gonna want something sweet to kind of balance it out. All right, this is 2½ teaspoons of baking powder. So just mix it up, no more lumps. That looks good. All right, now let's get our liquid together. I have 2 cups of buttermilk. There is 1 egg, 2 eggs. Now I'm gonna add the salt to my liquid, and the salt, which is 1 tablespoon, is gonna help break up the egg a little bit so it'll mix into this a lot easier. Now I need 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. You can also use butter here, but I find that oil, you're gonna get a lot more tender, a lot more crumbly cornbread. Butter is really delicious. You get that good buttery flavor, but I find that like when I want butter with my cornbread, I just kind of smear it on. Okay, I wanna mix all this up. I gotta pop those egg yolks. Mix this up real good. Now, I'm gonna make a little well right in the middle of my dry ingredients. And then I'm gonna pour the wet. And then just start giving it a stir and just let that cornmeal and let the flour, let the sugar, let everything mix gently. You also find that you won't get too many lumps too. Our cornbread batter is looking perfect. Now, I gotta get this into the pans. My pans are already in the oven. I like to preheat the pans. That way, when you pour the cornbread batter in there, the outside of it starts to cook and it gets that really good, perfect, crispy texture on the outside while staying really tender inside. So what I'm gonna do is get a pitcher. And now I'm gonna pour the cornbread batter into the pitcher. This is gonna make it so I don't make a mess. Okay, now I'm gonna grab my pan, which should be good and hot. A little cooking spray. If you don't have one of these mini loaf pans, you can use a muffin tin or a cake pan. I'm just gonna get all these guys filled, and then we're gonna go right back in the oven. This cornbread is gonna bake at 375 for about a half an hour. Look at that, no mess. Make sure that you spin the cornbread halfway through the bake so they bake evenly. All right, so I'm gonna check this in 15, rotate the pan, and then we'll come back in another 15 and it should be done. Smells like cornbread. Let's see, oh yeah. Yeah, now look at these. Oh, look how golden, brown, and beautiful. So the thing about cornbread is that you want that crust to develop, but it needs to be exposed to the air. If the cornbread sits in the pan, it steams, and you lose that crispy crust. So you gotta get them out of the pan right away, and then they get nice and crispy as they cool. So I have to cool these off, because I wanna break one open. And look at these. Really soft, really tender, and really crispy here. Mmm, it's got flavor, it's got this texture on the inside. It's not present in any other baked good.